Most Australians have no idea how much money they actually need invested to walk away from work forever. They throw around numbers like $1 million or $2 million without really knowing what those figures buy them in real life. So today I'm going to break it down properly. We're going to look at exactly how much you need invested to retire on $50,000 a year, $75,000 a year, and $100,000 a year here in Australia. And just as importantly, I'll show you what life actually looks like at each of those income levels, because the number in your account means nothing if you don't know what kind of lifestyle it unlocks. Let's start with the foundation. The rule most financial planners use is called the 4% rule. The idea is simple. If you withdraw 4% of your invested money in the first year of retirement, then adjust that amount for inflation each year after, your money should last around 30 years. So to work out what you need invested, you take your target yearly income and multiply it by 25. $50,000 a year needs $1.25 million invested. $75,000 a year needs $1.875 million. And $100,000 a year needs $2.5 million. Now, I know those numbers sound massive, but stick with me, because once we factor in the age pension and superannuation, the picture changes dramatically for most Aussies. It's also worth knowing where the 4% rule actually comes from. It was originally based on US market data going back to the 1920s, and it assumes your money is split roughly between shares and bonds. Some Australian researchers argue 4% is a touch aggressive if you plan to retire early and need your money to last 40 or 50 years instead of 30. In that case, a withdrawal rate closer to 3.5% is safer. But for most Australians retiring at the traditional age of 67, the 4% rule is a solid, sensible starting point. Just remember, it's a guideline, not a guarantee. Markets move, inflation bites, and life throws curveballs, so flexibility in your spending is just as important as the number itself. Let's talk about the first tier. Retiring on $50,000 a year. This sits just under what ASFE calls a comfortable retirement for a single person, which currently runs at around $53,000 annually. Using the 4% rule, you'd need $1.25 million invested to generate this purely from your own money. But here's the part most people miss. If you're an Australian homeowner over 67, you may qualify for some or all of the age pension, which as of March 2026 pays a single person just over $31,000 a year, and a couple combined around $47,000. ASFA's latest 2026 figures estimate a single homeowner needs around $630,000 in super to live comfortably, because the pension fills the rest. A couple needs around $730,000 combined. So if your goal is $50,000 a year as a single person and you own your home, you don't need $1.25 million. You realistically need somewhere between $630,000 and $780,000. Depending on how much pension you receive. What does this lifestyle actually look like? You can run a reliable car. You can eat out maybe once a week, not at fancy restaurants, but at a decent local pub or cafe. You can afford private health insurance, regular streaming subscriptions, and one domestic holiday a year. Overseas travel is possible, but only every few years, and you're flying economy and watching your spending. Your groceries are comfortable. You're shopping the specials, but you're not stressed about it. This is a quiet, contented life. It's not flashy, but it's free from financial pressure. And for a lot of Australians, that's the dream. Now let's step it up. Retiring on $75,000 a year. This is where things start to feel genuinely good. Using the 4% rule, you'd need $1.875 million invested to generate this income on your own. But again, if you factor in a part age pension and you own your home, the number drops. A single person realistically needs somewhere between $1.1 and $1.3 million invested. A couple needs around $1.4 to $1.6 million combined. And this is roughly the sweet spot where many couples can still receive a small part pension to top things up. The asset test does start to bite at this level, so financial planning becomes much more important here. Where you hold your money, how you draw it down, and how you structure your investments all start to matter a great deal. The lifestyle at $75,000 a year is genuinely comfortable. You can take an overseas trip every year or two, maybe Bali, Japan, or a couple of weeks through Europe in shoulder season. You can drive a newer car and upgrade it every 7 or 8 years without thinking too hard about it. You can dine out 2 or 3 times a week, enjoy a nice bottle of wine, and pick up the bill when your grandkids come over. You can keep your private health insurance, get the dental work done when you need it, and help your adult kids out occasionally with a deposit or a wedding. You have hobbies that cost money, things like golf, fishing trips, or boating. You're not wealthy, but you feel financially free. The constant background hum of money stress is gone. Now let's talk about the top tier, retiring on $100,000 a year. To generate this purely from your own investments using the 4% rule, you need $2.5 million. At this income level, you're well above the age pension cutoff, so you can't really rely on it to top you up. Some financial planners suggest you can get there with slightly less, around $1.8 to $2 million, if you're willing to draw down your capital over time rather than preserve it forever. But if you want to keep your money working and pass something on to your kids, $2.5 million is the realistic target. So what does $100,000 a year buy you in retirement? Honestly, this is where you stop counting. You're flying business class on long-haul trips. Maybe not every time, but when you want to. You can do 2 big overseas holidays a year, plus weekends away whenever you feel like it. You can drive a near-new European car, renovate your home when the kitchen starts to feel tired, and gift money to your children without it affecting your lifestyle one bit. You're eating at the best local restaurants, you have top hospital private health cover, and you can afford to back yourself if a health issue ever pops up, paying for the best specialists without waiting lists. But here's the most important thing I want you to take away from this video. The number you need is deeply personal. It depends on whether you own your home outright, where you live, your health, how long you expect to live, and what kind of life genuinely makes you happy. There's also one factor people often forget, and that's inflation. The $50,000 a year you need today will look very different in 20 years. At an average inflation rate of 2.5%, what costs $50,000 today will cost roughly $82,000 in 20 years. That's why your investments need to keep growing during retirement. Holding a healthy slice of growth assets like shares or property even after you stop working is how you protect your future buying power and avoid running out of money in your late 80s. If you're decades away from retiring, the single best thing you can do right now is increase your super contributions, even by $50 a week. Compound growth over 20 or 30 years will do more for you than almost any other financial decision you'll ever make. And if you're closer to retirement, sit down with a financial planner and actually map this out. Run the numbers for your situation. If this video helped you get clearer on your retirement target, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you there.